everyone. There are a few seats up here, so don't be shy. Glad you're here. If this is your first time to a Lift session, welcome. And just a big shout out to Big Wing Interactive for arranging this. Thank you. So today I want to talk to you about how you can attract more qualified leads using the review site Yelp. But before I get into that, I'm just going to share with you a little bit about who I am and my background, so how I got to be standing here today. So one rainy Vancouver morning, I jumped in my car and I drove down 5 states 7 days later and got to a place called Los Cabos, Mexico. And, I should move ahead, that was the drive down. And I worked with international brands. One was Jack Nicklaus, he's the golfer. We actually built a golf course, or I didn't, but I was part of the marketing, and the Ritz-Carlton residences. Jump ahead 4 years, and now I'm sitting inside of Google's office. Oh, that was the view from my office in Mexico. Pretty nice, huh? So jump ahead 4 years, and I'm sitting inside Google's office. I had been invited down to discuss some new initiatives, some beta tests with Google AdWords, and get a tour of their really cool office. If you've never been down, I would highly advised to go. Then, about a year later, I get a call from a client, and they're an insurance company, and they say to me, "Carley, have you heard of this site called Yelp?" And I said, "No." They said, "Well, people are leaving bad reviews." And they said, "When we Google the company name, we see this Yelp show up, and it's either above our company website or below it." And I said, "Oh, really?" And they said, "And there's these darn stars." They said they just draw the eye towards it. And I said, "Oh." And they said their sales had decreased by 22%. And I said, "Oh, well, that's not very good." They said, "Well, you know, we approached our marketing team and nothing." They said, "We called a PR firm out of New York, still nothing." And then they said, "Then we called an SEO agency out of New York and still nothing." They said, "Well, we're at a loss." The marketing manager said, "If we don't do something fast, someone's going to go to the unemployment lineup." Because they said someone up above wants an answer and they want an answer fast. And I said, "Well, I don't blame them." So they said, "Well, are you up for the challenge?" And I said, "Sure." And I got totally challenged. For 7 months, I researched and I studied and I put together a plan, and step by step, we walked through it together. And thankfully, they went from a 1 star to a 3.5 star. Their sales increased by 25%. So that was a 3% increase from where they had been. And when you Googled the company name, what you saw was positive feedback. From there, I got invited to Yelp headquarters. As you can see, it's a very tall building. I'm afraid of heights. And it's downtown historic San Francisco. Just one of the areas that I was in. I thought this was a real cool room inside of Yelp. Okay. So that's a little bit about me. Now today I help businesses in social media and online reputation and reviews. So we're going to start, and I'm going to cycle back to this, but Harvard did a study. Well, actually, before we begin, let me ask you a few questions. You'll see up on the screen here this picture. What is this made for? Anyone know? It's to deliver mail, way back in the 1900s, and it was a horse and carriage. So people would, or your customers would deliver feedback to you through mail. And for us speakers, we love to get fan mail. No, I'm just joking. Well, it is nice. What's this next picture of? It's, yes. My little nephews probably don't have a clue what this is. They're quite young, but they ring, and you pick up the phone, and your customer can give you feedback. You can talk to your grandmother, you can talk to your dad, you can talk to your uncle, and that lovely telemarketer that calls, and you're like, "Oh, really?" What's the next thing? Cell phone. It'll never clean your house, but you can talk around, or you can talk in your house, in your car, and even at the mall. Love that. So what I'm getting at is There are certain things that have been created and designed to use to communicate, whether it's in business or it's personal. And we continue to evolve technology-wise, and it gives us new options and it gives us more options. Okay? And it's for how our customers can interact with us. What's the next one? Email. Rapid communication without having to pick up a phone or dial a phone number. And at 11 p.m. at night when you're sleeping, you hear this ping, and you're like, and somebody wants an answer right now, typically. What's the next group? People sitting face to face. You can talk with your customer still face to face. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about one of the reasons Yelp, and there are other review sites out there, is important for the growth of your business. You know, it's not the only reason, but it's one. And that's the new ways consumers give feedback based on the experience with your brand that they have. So Harvard did a study, and allow me to read this. It said, a study by Harvard Business School finds that a positive evaluation on the popular review site Yelp.com does in fact appear to lead to increased business. It goes on to say that one conclusion drawn about Yelp was a 1-star increase in Yelp ratings leads to a 5 to 9% increase in revenue. Wow. So let's talk about the methodology today. So in other words, this isn't my thinking, this isn't something that I came up with. It's the way two guys, Larry Page and some other guy, I think his name is Sergey Brin, who created this place where your customers can go find your products or services, and that's called Google. And Google's relationship and Yelp that they have. So first I want to talk about the methodology in relation to Yelp. So we're going to look at some data, because last time I checked, data is pretty accurate. So if you could look up at the screen, I'd appreciate that. I think probably most of you are. So number one, there's over 115 million reviews to date left on Yelp. And almost every type of business or industry is there. Does anyone know what the top industry reviewed on Yelp is? Shopping. Then restaurants, then home services. I was actually really shocked to find out that shopping was number one. Secondly, and for those following on the outline, this is your second point, some 65 million people view Yelp from their mobile device. Third point, Yelp is one of the top 25 visited sites on the internet. Did you know that there's over 1 billion sites out there? And they're in the top 25. You know, they have to be doing something right, or many things right in the eyes of Google, because they do have a strong presence on Google. They're on page 1 for a lot of your company names and your brands, and even words associated to what it is that you sell. You know, before we got into computers, we could give feedback in a lot of different ways. Maybe it was phone, it was mail, or snail mail, as some of us call it. It was meeting face-to-face. And face-to-face is becoming less common today. Now, it's moved into consumer review websites like Yelp. So what sets you apart online when your prospect Googles you? Well, let's look at this. Say you're an say your air conditioner broke. It's 120 degrees outside. You're in the middle of August. Oklahoma is hot. I know, I've been here for the summer times. And you asked your friends, nobody has a referral for you. So you have to go onto Google and you search. And you have two companies. You have one company here. They have a Yelp profile. They got 4.5 stars, positive reviews. You click onto Yelp and you see these pictures. And you're like, wow, here's a technician. There's their office. Huh, pretty good company. Then I go over here and I see the other company. No reviews, no Yelp profile, but I have a website. Who am I going to go with? Well, I know who I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with the company that I feel connected to. And that's actually what is happening in today's society, or with today's consumer. So again, if you would look up at the screen, you'll see that 72% of consumers trust online reviews just as much as your personal recommendations. So maybe you're asking yourself, well, I don't know how to set up a Yelp profile. Or maybe you're thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want to set up a Yelp profile because what if my competitor or my customer writes a negative review? Or maybe you're thinking, I have a Yelp profile, but I can't get any reviews. Well, it's okay, you're not alone in your thinking. Let's see, where am I in my notes? Well, we'll just catch up. Okay, so that's the methodology behind what I want to talk to you today about. So let's start with this. Let's look up here again. 78% of consumers looking for local businesses turn to review sites. Yelp is one of them. Did you know they are the top review site? 44% of people go to Yelp. And this stat is from Nielsen, so Nielsen is pretty credible for those who have heard. So let's look at and go, okay, well, what are the steps to setting up a business profile? So you can maximize Yelp as a source of leads for your business. Well, first, number one, claim your Yelp page. If you don't have a Yelp business page, you can go onto Yelp, yelp.com. You can claim it. And you're claiming it, that's if somebody has already left you a review. If nobody has left you a review, then you can just follow the steps and set up a page. I love that it's easy. There's nothing that you have to pay to be on Yelp. Yes, they offer advertising, but you don't have to advertise. You know, there's no sort of programming or coding that you need to do, which I love. So you don't want your page to look like that. What are the top 5 reasons why you want to claim your page? Well, to fix negative reviews, you can't claim your Yelp, or you can't respond to a negative review unless you've claimed your Yelp page. You want to build customer trust. Stand out in the search results of Google and other search engines. Increase local visibility. Be at the top of Google. Book more business, get more form fill-outs, get more phone calls. Who doesn't want that? Number 2, you want to fill in your contact info. You want to add your phone number, your website, your address, your hours of operation. All this should be correct. And my girlfriend, husband, got sick about 2 weeks ago. He went and looked at 2 different clinics on Yelp. And both of them said 9 to 5 are our hours of operation. He went to one, they opened at 11. He went to the second one, they were also open at 11. Sick, and no clinics open, and he's gone online to do his due diligence before he went. She told me he wasn't very happy. You want to add pictures. And you don't want those stiff, boring pictures of the corporate where you go, oh my gosh, those people don't look like they're having any fun. Humanize your brand. You know what? Show what your office team looks like. Show your pet chihuahua. Well, maybe not so much. Maybe if you're a veterinarian or you're a pet insurance company. But show people what you're all about because they're going to connect with you. Yelp gives you the ability to add pictures. Use it. Let's move on. About the business. I'm not going to talk a little too much about this, but I do want to let you know that keywords, or for those who are unfamiliar with keywords, words, sprinkle words throughout your About This section. It's not proven, but it is implied that it's an opportunity to get found in the search results because of that About section. Okay, so by now you're probably wondering, well, that's nice. How do I actually get reviews? And this is probably the top question that I get asked. What do I do to attract reviews? Well, in my workshops, I go into more detail in how to attract reviews, but let's look at the nuts and bolts of it. So we're going to look at how to ask. Oops, let's go to that. How to ask, what to teach customers, and yes, I said teach, who to ask. And you know what, don't worry about writing this down. It's written down for you in your outline. How do I ask for a review? And how many reviews do I need? So number one, how do I ask? The key is ask. Don't sit, don't wait, because you're more likely to get some tire kicker or ankle biter that's going to leave you a 1-star review than somebody is going to leave you a 5-star review. It's the psychological aspect of it. So the problem I understand, though, that some of us have is they shy away from asking. Or some of us have come across this rule that says, don't ask for reviews. Perhaps they've changed and updated it. Perhaps not. And then there's a group that they ask for reviews, and they don't get reviews because all of them go into the filter. I will make note is that 25% of the reviews that you'll get will go into the filter. It's a fact. Okay. So absolutely ask your customers for reviews. And in the process, you want to be able to teach them how to do it correctly. There are ways that you can ask your customers for honest reviews. And you notice I'll stress honest. And the only way that you're going to get reviews is to, well, and more easily, is to teach your customers and to ask often. Okay? So what do you teach your customers? Number 2. Well, you need to teach your customers and say, I'd ask them for a business review. For starters, just simply educating them and letting them know how helpful it is for your business is a great place to start. Next time a customer says to you, hey, you guys did a great job, or, you know, we really appreciate your work, there's a great opportunity to do a bit of customer education. So I have a client, they're a retractable door and screen company, and they were looking to increase their reviews. Their competitors had them, and they knew it built trust and confidence. So we came up with, when an installer finished the job, he would ask that client and say, well, how was our work? How was our service? And if it was positive, then they would go on to say, you know, thanks so much for your compliment. We sure do appreciate it. If you left that kind of information on our Yelp page, you know, we would be thankful. How comfortable are you using Yelp? And if they said, oh, can't stand Yelp, don't use it at all. Well, then point them to Google reviews or Facebook reviews. If they said, yeah, you know what, we love Yelp, we use it all the time, great. We'll follow up with an email. Asking in that manner isn't cohesive? Sorry, I always have difficulty with that. Thank you, with that word. And you've found out enough to know that, yes, they've had a positive experience, and yes, they use Yelp. Third, who do I ask? This is easy. Ask people who have had a positive experience with your brand. If you don't know, ask them. There are plenty of tools out there to weed out the cranky pants and to capture those people who love your brand or the company you work for. Number 4, how do I ask for a review? We could spend a long time on this, but I'm just going to say email is the easiest way. Send a warm, friendly request for feedback. Tailor the tone to your brand, and keep your email copy short. So to tease this out, or to give you a real-life example, I introduced to you today the great mystery mortgage company. For confidentiality reasons, I can't share who they are. Nobody likes to be broadcast usually in this area. So let's look at some more pictures. This was their copy before I worked with them. Well, maybe not quite, but it was blah, blah, blah. And you know, the clients thought so too, because they sent out hundreds of requests for reviews, and not one person gave them a review. Well, I can't show you the copy that we used. I can show you, though, the results. We started working with them in mid-2015. that arrow points to where it is that they jumped from a 2-star to a 4.5 star, and they got a string of positive reviews. And as you can see under 2016, that they continue to enjoy and still do today a 4.5 to 5-star rating and a string of positive reviews. And needless to say, the CEO who I had sat down with was thrilled. This is the 5th point in your outline if you're following along. How many reviews do I ask for? A lot. Don't stop asking. But I will say this, don't ask for a solid month and get a whole bunch of reviews. You're going to trip up the Yelp filter for one, and they're going to probably put all your reviews in the filter. And 2, it looks unnatural. So over a course of time, ask for reviews, continue to. And if you're just starting out, the number that I always share with clients or with prospects is 10. Okay, so monitoring reviews and online reputations. Let me just talk about this for a moment. Someone can put up a Yelp profile for you. You don't have to do it. You can stumble upon your page and you could have a 1-star or you could have a 5-star. You could have a ton of reviews or you could have a little number of reviews. It's important to pay attention to what people are saying to you online. Because this is specifically for Yelp. Get the Yelp mobile app. It's free. You can respond to messages on the go. Yelp will send you a note saying, or a ping saying, you have a message. It's easy to set up. You just go to the Yelp app or Yelp site and you download it. One company didn't manage their reputation. So as you'll see here, this is a picture of a dental clinic. It's for kids. The website's a little bit outdated. Yes, I know. But it looks like a place that I would probably take my children to get dental work. You perhaps would too. The next slide. But here's where you start to question it. Here's their website. Here's Yelp. It's 2 stars. And yeah, the review says it's something, quite nice, but it puts a red flag into me. So I go through, and my eyesight's not the best sometimes because of college, but that goes, if you allow me to read this, it says, they are absolutely horrible. Receptionist is rude and don't care about how precious customers' time is. They also laugh and carry on. I think you get the point. 1 star, 1 star, 1 star. I would not take my kids there for the life of me. There are lots of other dentists in California or wherever. I went to their website and then I saw their Yelp page. So this is what's happening today, is that people are checking you out online, your business, before they even call you or walk through the front door. So monitoring tools. I get asked this, well, Carley, I'm a small business owner. What should I be doing? Well, my recommendation is this. Get the mobile app for Yelp. Use Google Trends. It's a great tool to use. It's also free. And either assign another job to your marketing person, sorry, those marketers in the room, or administrator, and keep watch of it. Do I think that you need monitoring software to pay if you're a smaller business, say with 1 location? No. If you're a larger company, and I've worked with some of these as well, and you have multiple locations, so say you're a bank, you're a credit union, you're an auto dealer with more than 1 location, I would use Google Trends, I would use the Yelp mobile app, and I would subscribe to monitoring tools. Don't get caught like that dentist did that we just saw. Yelp isn't meant to want to pull out your hair, as I get told by some. It's meant to help grow your business and attract more qualified local prospects. Okay, well, thank you. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to write them down, and Sarah will collect them, or you can raise your hand, whatever it is that you prefer. Yes.
On the branded profile section, whenever you said in the About section to sprinkle keywords in there, what are some of those keywords you suggest using?
So it would be dependent on your brand and your company. So if you have a keyword is something known to convert. So when someone does a search on Google for your company, what are words that are leading them to your website? So usually Google Analytics will be a good source. Google AdWords will also be a good source, or if you do an SEO campaign, all of those. But choose probably one or two. And when I say sprinkle, it shouldn't look like you purposely wrote it for Google or their search engine. Okay, does that answer your question? Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. Anyone else?
What is the filter?
Well, Yelp has a filter, and what it says is that if we think that your review doesn't match, this is not my thinking, this is Yelp's, if it doesn't match what it is that they look for in their formula, they will put it into a filter, which means it cannot be seen when you click on a company's website page. So it goes at the very bottom of a Yelp of, say, let's just take company XYZ, and you go to their Yelp page, and you'll be able to scroll down to the bottom, and there'll be a small, in very small font saying, reviews not authorized by Yelp. You'll click that, and that's what I mean. It's gone into the filter. It won't show on your Yelp page. And it's a problem a lot of companies have.
And that can be 1 to 5 stars.
Yep, and it can be anything, and you don't have any control over it. So, but there are things that you can do. We don't have time today to talk about it, but in my workshops, or if I work one-on-one with a client, we go through that process. Yeah. Anyone else?
Do you recommend having signage? And I should talk to Julie. They're so good with their specialty items, but having like a sticker on your door or a card on your visitor services desk that says "Review us on Yelp."
Absolutely. Yep. And Yelp has stickers that you can put on your door that you can say "Review us on Yelp."
And Julie has those.
I don't know, but she could. Oh, do you?
This was perfect.
Oh, great. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Then,
Julie's awesome.
okay. Well, I'm glad that you could be here then. I have never met you, but welcome. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I guess I'll just get them some.
Yeah. Yes, you can. Yeah. Anyone else?
I have just a question for everybody here. So I was talking to one of the ASMs about this. I don't know if it's just me, but who here goes straight to negative reviews, besides Stephanie? Is it just me, or do people, when you're reading reviews, you just go straight to the negative, or what's the consensus? How many here do that?
I go to the newest.
Go to the newest? Yeah, because maybe the negative aren't the most valid, but I just find myself doing that lately these days, going right to the negative reviews. But I don't know if that works, or if that's really necessary, but if that's kind of a trend, what can businesses do to overcome that?
To negative, hire me. No. That is a problem, because those reviews, as you saw, play a big part in a consumer's decision of whether or not they're going to buy from your company or they're going to buy from another company. And it's a process that one goes through in order to be able to really take care of those negative reviews. And one of two things happen. One is that you have poor customer service, and you need to deal with that and figure that out, why it is that you're leaving negative reviews. And that was part of the company's issue that I mentioned at the beginning, of why I got the phone call from that insurance company, is that he had an issue internally to fix, which they did work on and fix. Because if you have an internal issue with your customers, it doesn't matter how hard that we work at trying to increase that positive review or rating, because nobody's happy with your service or your product. And then you have this other company where they've maybe just had a few people that have been unhappy. And then what happens is, psychology-wise, is that you have a couple of bad reviews, and say I come along and I'm like, oh, it wasn't too bad, but I see a bunch of negative reviews. I'm more likely to leave a not so nice review than I would be a positive. Think about this. If you come to a Yelp profile and there's all positive 5-star reviews, and you've had a bad experience and you want to leave a 1-star, but everyone has said great things about it, are you going to stop and think, well, maybe I shouldn't leave this review? I don't know. A lot of people say to me, yeah, you know what? I won't leave that review. So.
That's a really good point.
Yes, you in the back? Hi. Yeah, hi.
Yeah, just a couple of questions. But
Yeah.
what about flagging
It is, and there are circumstances around that. Each case is unique and different, and that it is, but it doesn't happen often. So it has to be pretty serious for it to have occurred. Did you have another question?
Yeah, it's related to the filter. My understanding is that non-active Yelp users go into the filter as well. So like maybe somebody just started their profile. That might be a challenge if you're asking your customers, like, I never used Yelp before, so what would you propose for me?
Well, and that's part of the whole working with the client is the education behind working with customers. And so that's one of the things. It's a process that we walk through to do that. The short and simple answer is just I would tend to consider that when I'm asking for reviews, that X number or percentage of people are not going to have their Yelp profile filled out completely, and it could trigger them to go, that their review would go into the filter. So you just allow for more reviews. Yeah. Yes?
I've talked to a number of smaller business owners, and they have expressed to me issues that they've been having both on Google and Yelp with competitors, getting lots of their friends to go in and leave negative reviews. And they have run into this situation where they don't know how to combat that. Because you can't respond to a negative review that's based on nothing. So how do you combat that?
Well, and that's a great point. So first of all, you want to claim your Yelp page. And one of the things that I teach my clients when I have in my reputation repair plans or in training calls that I do, because I offer that in both capacities, one response or one thing that I suggest is reply to every negative review. And typically, I'll start off and say, let them know, thank you for your response. However, we don't show any record of ever helping you in this area on this date. If you could give us more feedback, please email us and direct it and take it offline. But the key is that if you let it go unnoticed, or if you let it go that you haven't noticed it and the rest of the world does, then that's where it can potentially become a bigger problem. But if you basically nip it and respond back, and I do recommend you respond back to every review, whether positive or negative, because you're acknowledging someone, first of all, that maybe they've had a bad experience, that it's truly happened, or in the case that you're mentioning, is that people are trying to slander other people. Now, I've known one situation where a client said, I'm going to sue you. If you don't take that off, because they knew who it was, we're going to sue you, and for a lot of money. And their pockets were deep, and that review came off. So it's just different ways that you can handle it. But hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you for coming. Let's give Carley a round of
Thank you for
applause.
having me.